So we're like, whatever, 46 hours from the NFL draft. We're recording this on a Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. Central my time. Anthony's here repping is that a Lawrence Taylor jersey?
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Giants Brawl podcast, brought to you by the Brawl Network. For tonight, I get to be your host. That's how it's been for the past 22 episodes as well. This is, I think, episode 23 that we're on. I don't keep track, honestly. Got the left-hand man, Anthony Rivardo, in the house, so you can follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Rivardo. Check out his work on Empire Sports Media, not just every day of the week, but especially during draft weekend, because he's going to be dropping tons of articles. And then Mike Trainer's in the house too. You can check him out on Twitter at Mike Trainer MFT. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man.
2 more days, fellas. I can't wait till this shit's over with, man. So my giant Twitter could relax a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah.
But they won't. You know, no matter who's picked, they're just gonna bug out for the next couple months. No matter.
Dude, I'm like, okay. Here's the thing, right? And this comes from so like. Every single time I'll write like an all NFL like thing covering the entire freaking league, I always get fans in my comments, like either the mentions on Twitter or like Facebook or wherever I like share the article, and people just complain like, no, this team made the wrong move, you know, or like this is just stupid. I'm like, bro, like he's on your team, you should like root for this guy to succeed. It's gonna suck, dude, because there's always like that one small portion of the fan base.
Yeah, they're insane.
Yeah.
Root for the team, guys. If you're a real fan, just root for the team. Sure, you can pick it all you want, but yeah, like within limit.
I think that portion of our fan base is a lot larger than many others.
Dude, but no. Here's the thing. Look, I'm one of those fans where it's like I'll root for the team in general, but if they make like a bad move, I'm gonna like call the GM or the head coach or the players out over it and give like criticism. And the issue is that, like, people get it all twisted up, you know, in the sense that, like, they think, okay, well, the moment you criticize the team, like, you're not a fan. I'm like, bro, that is not how this works.
No, definitely. There's plenty of people that will make that argument on Giants Twitter and say that if you don't like Dave Gettleman, you're not a real Giants fan, and that's not true. Like, I love the Giants. Every move that Dave Gettleman makes, he might make a move that I really hate. But say he drafts Derek Brown, I'm gonna break something. I'm gonna be really pissed at that. But a week later, maybe even a day later, I'm gonna say, okay, Derek Brown, I love you. You're a New York Giant. You have my full support. Please prove me wrong. That's the mindset. I'm not gonna agree with everything that our team does, but no matter what they do, they're gonna have my full, support at the end of the day.
So speaking of Twitter and Facebook, right, and all the socials and some of the people that come after me, listen up, guys. If you're listening to this, we just launched an Instagram page. You can find us on Instagram at giants.brawl or just search up Giants Brawl. We're going to be posting tons of interactive stuff on there. Might even go live for the draft this Thursday night. I don't know, but we're going to figure something out. Check us out on Twitter at Giants Brawl too, and we're on the same, Facebook. You can find us by the same name, Giants Brawl. All right, this is great because now you get to deal with us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So it's like a 3-in-1 is basically what it is. But enough of just like ranting about irrelevant stuff. We're going to get into a fun-packed show or a jam-packed show, I should say, because this is smokescreen time, you know, and it's like freaking high school, dude, because like everyone's just like gossiping left and right. And there's all this stuff that's coming out. It seems like one team is trying to one-up another. I saw a report, guys. The 49ers are trying to trade for Evan Ingram. And I'm like, something does not add up here. Like, I'm not buying into this rumor. Mike, what do you think?
Wow. I mean, we did sign that, that tight end from San Fran, right? Yoli. I can't even pronounce his name. But he's like a gigantic monster. I mean, if he steps in and plays well, I mean, who knows what's going to happen to Evan Ingram. I don't think he gets traded, dude. Like, I don't believe really the Giants would trade him. I think San Fran doesn't really want him. Like, they already got Kittle. Why would they want Evan Ingram for him? Why would they give up draft capital for him?
Anthony, what do you think before I jump in here and rant a bit about why this is a fake news report?
I think, there's a lot of Giants fans that want Evan Ingram traded. I'm not one of them. I think he has a lot of potential. The only way that I would even consider it is if we get blown away by a Bill O'Brien-esque trade and they offer us like a first-round pick for Evan Ingram. Then I'd I'd consider it. But I don't think that they should trade Evan Engram, man. I don't know if this report maybe indicates that the Giants are looking to trade him. Maybe they have him on the trade block, or if it's just the 49ers, they just want to trade for him, but the Giants aren't budging. I don't know what it might be, but at the end of the day, I just hope that they're not looking to trade Evan Engram, because I think that if he can't stay healthy in this offense with Jason Garrett, he loves to utilize a tight end. We could see a huge year from Evan Engram as long as he stays healthy.
Maybe San Fran wants to go to the 2 tight end set because Garoppolo can't throw a goddamn deep ball.
I mean, that makes sense.
Dude, okay, so number one, George Kittle's he's the security blanket in that offense. Not having a good tight end in today's NFL is such a freaking issue because your tight end is your security blanket. But I got the 49ers draft capital, dude, on my list, right? Because I'm going to be sitting in the frigging basement on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just covering the draft. They got 2 first-rounders, 13 and 31, and then they have around 2 fifth-rounders, a 6th, and 2 7ths. Now, these guys, theoretically, they can't even afford a trade for Evan Engram unless the 49ers trade back from 13. And even that, because it's a mid-first round pick, you're not going to get a future first, right? You're going to end up getting a second or third rounder, which this team doesn't have. I mean, they don't have a second, they don't have a third, they don't have a fourth. The Giants have those picks. The 49ers, they're not making a move for Evan Engram. I'm not buying into any of this chatter that's going on. That's one. And number two, Joe Judge is from New England. They ran 2 tight end sets there all the time. This guy's a valuable piece in the offense. We've seen when he's healthy, he can be one of, he's a top 10 tight end in the game, dude, when healthy. I get he hasn't been healthy the last couple of years, which is why fans want out. But, this is his first, I want to say, full off season, besides the walking boot and everything. The first time he hasn't had to, deal with some nagging injury. I seriously think Ingram's going to be healthy in 2020.
Let's hope for that, man. I don't know. You can't trust the guy, really, because he can't stay on the field. It's unfortunate. But he got all the talent in the world to be a really good tight end, except for blocking, but it looks like we got somebody that could do that for us. But let's hope for the best, man. He's going into his last year before his contract, right? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the main problem is that he's still in that walking boot, and so that brings up a plethora of questions, when will he be healthy? What really is going on with his foot? Because it was supposed to be just a sprain, but then he had surgery, and he's still in the walking boot in the summer, or heading into the summer, so you can't bank on him to stay healthy, but I just think it's a risk-reward thing. Yeah, he might get hurt again, and that would suck, but if he stays healthy, he's got that potential, he's got that talent, and in this offensive scheme, there really is a chance for him to excel, be a top 5 tight end in the league. And, analytically speaking, the tight end is the most reliable person on the field to throw to. It's why the Ravens had so much success this year, why the Chiefs, even the 49ers, why they had so much success is because they incorporate the tight ends into their offense so much. And you can really, it's the highest efficiency throw. I think you get the highest completion percentage around the league when throwing to tight ends. So having a really good tight end out there is really valuable. So I want to see Evan Engram get healthy, and I think he can explode into being an elite tight end if he can.
If he gets hurt week 1, just cut him. Cut him right there. Over.
Dude, I think so. This, because who was the GM when we drafted Ingram? That was Jerry Reese's last year. I forget the exact details of the contract, but the way some of these teams go about the 5th-year options is you can decline them and have no guaranteed money on there, so you don't owe the player anything, or you can pick up the 5th-year option but then still have no guaranteed money. So then in that scenario, you're basically if you decide to rescind that 5th-year tag, you can once you've pulled it, you get the whatever money you're supposed to pay the guy, that gets converted into cap space. So however this contract was structured, I think is really going to play into whether or not, like you said, Mike, do they decide to cut him if he gets hurt week 1 or something? Because quite frankly, we discussed this a lot of times. I'm okay. Tola Leo's there. He's 7 feet tall. And then you have, what's his name, dude? Caden Smith too. I think if Caden Smith can stay healthy, he's a guy that can ultimately become the security blanket for that team, because he had his moments last year.
Yeah, he had good chemistry with Daniel Jones, man, towards the end of the year. So Yeah, why not? Why not have him in the rotation?
Yeah, I like Caden Smith a lot, and I think Toilolo is going to provide a lot of value as a run-blocking tight end, which, of course, is going to add value to Saquon Barkley. But I think that if Evan Ingram, he doesn't pan out this year, he does get hurt, we'll get to see, obviously, a lot of Caden Smith, and I think that he could surprise a lot of people. He showed a lot of potential last year. Maybe he is the future at tight end. Maybe it's not Evan Ingram, and I'm wrong. It's just I think that if Ingram can stay healthy, man, I would love to see what he can do.
Hey, listen, it's a tight end, man. We found like guys like Kevin Boss back in the day,
Yeah.
Jake Ballard. Where'd these guys come from? They came out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
tight end's not that hard to find, man. As long as they can block.
Yeah, unless you're the friggin' Chicago Bears and you gotta have like 10 on your roster, and you
The
still don't know, Anyway, though, moving on, you saw all the stuff that's been coming out, guys. Like we said, it's lying season, it's gossip season. The Justin Herbert rumors, as soon as Rappaport tweeted that, like, oh, the Giants have met with Herbert, like, virtually FaceTimed him, all that stuff, I was like, these guys aren't serious about it. One, because you knew, so Joe Judge was the one conducting these FaceTime meetings. Number one, here's the thing. This is such a BS rumor because you knew if you were going to take this Giants job, you were going to have to work with Daniel Jones. That was like the single biggest requirement. It wasn't any of the clout that was going to come with this or any of that. It was, you're working with Danny Jones. He's your quarterback. You are not starting over. That's one. Number two, you're picking in the top 5, and anytime you're picking in the top 5, you got to do your homework on every single draft prospect. That's why you got like the local scouts, the pro scouts, the college scouts. Basically, the scouting department is like its own front office within teams. These college scouts, right? They've been doing extensive work on Herbert. I get that, but only because he could impact their draft, not if they pick him, but because you have teams that are going to be looking to move up on Thursday night.
Yeah, Herbert, man, that's definitely a shock to see that name pop up. Like if the Giants, say for instance, they did draft Herbert, that would just be a bad reflection on Gettleman because everybody would bring up, oh, why'd you waste a number 6 pick last year on Daniel Jones? And then then of course they're gonna end up trading Daniel Jones. Hopefully, you never know, to try to get draft capital back, but you're not gonna get a number 1 first round number 6 pick back for him again. So it would just look totally bad on Gettleman's part, and there's no truth to that rumor. So everybody could just like shut the fuck up about it. It's not happening. Relax, Giants, whatever, relax.
I will throw out one scenario where they do actually draft Justin Herbert that might not be completely unrealistic, and it has nothing to do with Daniel Jones. You keep Daniel Jones, but if you think about it, you draft Justin Herbert at number 4, right? And then what are all those teams that want Justin Herbert going to do? They're going to freak out. So then you can make them trade for him. When you're like, oh, come trade up to this 4th pick, it's like, yeah, why would we? We have the 5th pick. Herbert's going to fall to us anyway. If you're not going to make the pick at 4, you don't want Justin Herbert. We do. He'll fall. So then you say, okay, Dolphins, you know what? We picked Justin Herbert. Now what are you going to do? Now you have to trade us the 5th pick and your 36th pick or whatever, 26th pick, something else. You got to give us extra to get Justin Herbert. Now, that's a way to just – it's risky because what if they don't want to trade for him? Then you're kind of fucked, and you kind of have to – you got to make something up on the fly, and you don't want to be stuck with Justin Herbert. But if you can pull that off, you can get a lot more because you're guaranteeing a team that Justin Herbert isn't going to be on the board when they're picking.
Yeah, that's true, and I see the cockiness. I don't say cockiness, but I see the look in Anthony's eyes, like he's super fired up after making that statement. Because I personally have not seen anyone on social media like think that way. But the point is, dude, is that like I'm not buying into it. You're just doing your homework on these guys. And Joe Judge, like every time I've said like Joe Judge is from New England, he's bringing over whatever he did from New England and implementing the same stuff here. I mean, how many times have we seen, dude, over the last couple of years, the Patriots doing their homework on Baker Mayfield and everyone all of a sudden thinking like, oh, this is the end for Tom Brady. And then what happens? Brady's back. He's in Tampa now, but I'm saying like we saw this in 2018, dude. We saw it in 2019. I mean, there were rumors last year at this time saying that the Patriots were going to, wheel and deal, move up in the first round and somehow draft Daniel Jones. But then Dave Gettleman did his thing. So this is just a team right now. All this is a team picking in the top 5, doing their homework because they know, oh, teams are going to be wanting this guy. Let's see what we can get. And I will say this, though. I would take Daniel Jones coming out of Duke over Justin Herbert, and the reason being is because Herbert's, like, I extensively watched Herbert's tape on Saturday night. this kid, like, this dude freaking concerns me, dude. Because he's the biggest boomer bust prospect, in my opinion.
I think he's boom, man. I think he's going to be legit.
I don't know, dude.
Tua is the one that's got me skeptical, man. Like I said, for like the past months. I would draft him ahead of him.
You've been saying that since January, dude. And why is Tua here's the issue with Tua, right? So, like, at the college level, when you got guys like Chase Young running at you, like, those are big hits you take. But in the NFL, keep in mind, like, to go from Chase Young to, like, Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald running at you, that's just, like, a big step up because the defenders are bigger, faster, and they're stronger, right? So, Tua, dude, he's going to have to go to a team. If you draft Tua, right, you better invest in the offensive line every year because a couple hits to those hips, and he's done.
Right. Yeah, he'll be done, man.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem with Tua is that hip. I was watching Mike Renner, Pro Football Focus, talk about it, and he was saying no matter what, that hip injury, he's going to develop arthritis in his hip. Like, whether it's in a year, whether it's in 15 years, 10 years, you don't know. And that's the problem because he's never going to be 100% healthy because that's always going to be in the back. That can pop up at any moment. So, usually when you're drafting a quarterback inside the top 5-10 picks, you want them to be around for 15 years and win you Super Bowls like Eli Manning did. But when you're drafting Tua Tagovailoa, you don't really have that because he can get arthritis, and then he's only on the team for 5 to 10 years maximum. His playing career is instantly shortened because of the injury that he suffered in college. And that's a major red flag that I don't know if a lot of people are really putting enough emphasis on.
Yeah,
Right.
dude. No one's putting enough emphasis on it because, like, all the physicals and whatnot. And keep in mind this virus bullshit that's going around. Teams aren't able to even conduct their own physicals on these guys with their training staff, their athletic staff, their, like, team doctors. That's why everything's been thrown into a frenzy. That's why this is going to be, like, the most surprising draft we've seen probably since, like, 2014, I want to say.
Right. They could get these their own doctors to lie for them. Like, I could enter the NFL draft next week. I could get a doctor and be like, yo, this dude could throw. He's getting an arm. He's diesel. Like, you better draft Mike Trainer, like, before this guy gets past the first round. You know what I mean? Like, they're just, it's all fucking lies. It's all lies. This whole draft, this whole Twitter, teams are lying, players are lying. I'm like, let's just get to the draft already, man. I just want to go to sleep. I want to take, like, a couple Valium and just go to sleep for the next 4 hours and wake me up when the Giants are about to pick.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I would love to do something similar, but I got like this 15 paper to write tonight, so.
Oh my god.
It's really cutting into my film time, bro.
I got 4 articles I gotta finish up, and then I'm gonna be up like all night Wednesday, all night Thursday, basically just like writing about the draft and whatnot. So moving on from Herbert, which is another BS rumor. One thing I think which is legit is the Giants spending a lot of time with Tristan Wirfs. And as we said for like the last like 10 or 11 weeks, it makes sense that they're doing their homework on offensive tackles because the reality of it is that's going to be a position you could take at 4th overall because Wirfs, I think he's listed as like a right tackle. Some teams I know view him as like a guard. So you could slide him in as an interior offensive lineman too. You don't have to do it like in 2020. You could do it whenever. But Wirfs, I think this rumor is like serious because he just seems to have the biggest ceiling of any of these offensive tackles, the big 4 at least.
So, real quickly, Mike, before I let you go, let you go ahead and speak. I gotta warn you guys. I've had a change of heart. I'm officially jumping off of the hype train. I'm not an Isaiah Simmons at number 4 guy.
I saw that. Dude, and I was like, yeah, we are discussing this on the podcast.
Yeah, I think now is the time to bring it up since you brought up Tristan Wirfs. Look, man, I've been watching these offensive tackles in this draft class a lot this week and weekend. When you take a look at those guys in the 2nd round that keep getting mocked to the Giants, Isaiah Wilson and Austin Jackson, they are such projects. It's going to be 2 years before they're quality starters, if they ever do become quality starters. I don't think that the Giants can really afford to wait to the 2nd round to get an offensive tackle at this point. Now, I hope they trade down and then grab the offensive tackle in the 1st round, but, man, as much as I love Isaiah Simmons, and I'm going to be happy if they draft him, don't get me wrong, I just think they have to go offensive tackle now. Now that I've looked into this draft class, I don't think they can afford to wait.
Which one is your main guy out of the top four? Which one do you really want offensive tackle?
It's easily Jedrick Wills. He's my favorite. I think he's the most pro-ready, and like I said, I don't think we have time to wait. I think we need a guy who could step in immediately and make an impact, and I think Jedrick Wills is that guy. I like Tristan Wirfs a lot. I think he's super athletic, but if you're looking at like technique, refinement standpoint, by far the most refined prospect is Jedrick Wills in my eyes, and I think he's a rock. I know he's a right tackle, and I know some fans want a left tackle, but I think, right tackle is actually the bigger hole for us. I would love Jedrick Wills, man, in the first round.
See, I'm hearing first off, man, my friend Conrad that listens to this show, he's gonna love you and that statement because we bet that I want the Giants to take Simmons, right? I bet the Giants gonna take Simmons at 4. He's like, no, we're gonna get Wills at 4. I'm like $100. So if you're right, I'm gonna down $100. I'm gonna be pissed, but. I mean, and all the guys, I watched a bunch of tape on them. I didn't watch, I watched them in college a little bit here and there, but I wasn't really paying that much attention. But I tell you, man, that the Thomas kid, man, he really sticks out in my mind. And then I'm reading stuff today about the Dolphins trading up to the Lions at number 3 to draft Thomas at number 3. How crazy would that seem? That would throw the draft into chaos if that happened.
No, that would be bizarre. And I like Thomas a lot too. I think his technique is great. I just think Jedrick Wills is a little bit better. Honestly, I think those top 3 guys are all really good. I'm not that high on Mekhi Becton, but those top 3 guys, I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. But I actually didn't see that rumor about the Dolphins. I saw that they wanted to move up to 3 with the Lions, but I didn't know that it was for Andrew Thomas. That's kind of crazy, man, because if you think about what the mock drafts have been looking like over the past month, I've seen Thomas as high as now 3 apparently, and as low as 18. So I don't know, this draft, man, it's going to be crazy.
Dude, who do you want?
Me.
Who do you want the Giants to take it out of the top 4?
I mean, I would go with honestly, I think Wills would be the safe. Wills right now is the safest pick.
Yeah.
But if I had to look at upside and whatnot, I would say Thomas, or no, not Thomas, freaking Wirfs, dude. I think that Wirfs can develop into a really quality starter, much better than people are giving me credit for. And then I look at Andrew Thomas. He's obviously 3 for me. And then Mekhi Becton, dude. I will not lie. I think people are in love with this guy specifically because of his freaking size.
Yep.
That's really what it just seems like that's the way amongst the social media NFL draft communities on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, right? People are just in love with this guy because he's 6'7" and 450 pounds or whatever. But here's the thing, look, right? So I don't think the Dolphins the Dolphins are taking a quarterback at 5. And that's my own personal opinion, but it's also because of what I've been hearing. Because I remember a couple of years ago, the owner Stephen Ross wanted Josh Rosen, and the GM Chris Greer took what's his name, Minka Fitzpatrick, only to trade him a year later. And then obviously last year they apparently wanted Dwayne Haskins at 15th overall, and I don't even remember who they ended up with, right? But the point is, dude, I seriously think if there's a draft to select a quarterback for the Dolphins, it's this one, because you also have the 3 first-round picks to move up. So that's what I think the Dolphins are going to do, Anthony, because you bought them up. And then regarding the offensive tackles, dude, this thing's split into tiers. I said this on last week's episode. I'm look, you have the big 4 that we just talked about extensively, and then you have Josh Jones, Lucas Niang, Isaiah Wilson, Austin Jackson. Those are your next 4 that are going to be gone in the second round. But the issue with them is that these guys are all project players, and teams are gonna the reason these guys are not gonna go in round, if these guys were gonna go in round 1 the 2021 draft or whatever, they would still be the boom or bust prospects. They're going in round 2 in this draft, not just because of the big 4, but also because you see the issues that pop up, and you're these guys are not ready to start from day 1. They could start day 1, but there's gonna be too many damn hiccups.
They need to get fed steroids real quick. They could get up into the first round of the draft. All right, get big, boys. Put your big boy pants on. Thomas, he's the only true left tackle. Am I right?
I think so.
The true left tackle.
Becton is also a left tackle, but Wills and Wirfs are both right tackles. That's right.
So it's like if I'm the Giants, wouldn't you go Andrew Thomas as the next guy to step in line? In place.
Well,
But see, here's the issue with that, right? Is you do that, dude, and it was like, well, what was the point in paying Nate Solder then? Even
yeah.
though, like, 2 years ago, I know it was going to make sense to pay Nate Solder. They're committing tons of money to him anyway. It's not like they can get out of the contract at any point in 2020. So, like, you're paying this guy all this money. You're kind of overpaying him. Just keep him as your left tackle.
All right, you're proving my point then. Then why wouldn't we take one of these developmental guys in the second round to replace Nate in a year or two? Right, Andy? You're saying it might take 2 years for a guy to get in?
Because I've already started. Listen, I've already started digging into the 2021 offensive tackle class, and it's gonna be pretty good. And as I've said multiple times, I don't expect this team to be like super competitive in 2020. I think that they can be that, but I realistically think like we're due for another 6, 7, 8 win season. Anthony's frustrated with me, by the way.
No, it's not about you. It's more about what Mike said, man. Like, okay, the whole left tackle thing. Why does it have to be a left tackle? And then you got to move Nate Solder across to right tackle, and then Solder's just going to.
What do you do with Nick Gates then? What do you do with Nick Gates?
Oh,
and
man,
that's the thing. Because listen, I've been high on Nick Gates. I've been one of the few people that's been saying like, give this guy a chance because you got to see what you have.
Stop it, Uche. We're giving Mike a victory on the Isaiah Simmons debate right now. We're debating.
Okay, well this podcast has been on the Isaiah Simmons hype train since forever, and you changed it all up. So
okay, all right. Well, let me explain. Okay, listen, I love Nick Gates too, but keep in mind, like he's an unproven commodity. I think that he could compete wherever. I think he played well at right tackle. He played well at guard, but it was small sample sizes. I'd like to see him compete at center if we don't draft one. And if we don't draft an offensive tackle, I definitely want to see him get a real shot to start at right tackle for us. But with the whole left tackle versus right tackle thing, I don't want to move Nate Solder across the line and have him play even worse than he did last year. If you could just solidify that right tackle spot for the next 5, 10, 15 years with whoever you draft there, that's a win. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I love Isaiah Simmons, and I think, we have just holes all over the defense, and he could legitimately just upgrade the team as a whole. But if you're playing the long game and you're looking into the later portions of the class, there's defensive talent all throughout this draft class. We can find the way to put a defense together in the 3rd and 4th, 5th, all those rounds, but you're not going to find an instant impact offensive tackle. And then we're going to be complaining next year once Daniel Jones has another 10 fumbles, and he's been sacked another 40 times. We're all going to be upset because Dave Gettleman didn't prioritize the offensive line, and we're going to be happy that we have Isaiah Simmons, but still, you're just going to be looking at the long-term future of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley running behind who at offensive tackle? Cameron Fleming? That's a 1-year deal. I think I've made my point, but I don't know. I'm high on Nick Gates too. I hate to be the guy that just changes up on everybody because we've been that podcast. It's like Isaiah Simmons, but like, man, I see so much value in the offensive tackle now that I've done more research.
Listen, in a year from now, when Isaiah Simmons is on our podcast as the best Giant defender, we're gonna bring this podcast up. Like, Anthony really didn't want you. He wanted
true.
wanted you, and then changed his mind last minute.
Okay, yeah, I changed my mind last minute, but. Like I said before I started this whole thing, if we draft Isaiah Simmons, I'm still going to be ecstatic. I'm going to be really, really happy. I love the guy. He's probably my favorite prospect in this class just from watching him on film and stuff. But I just think that the most realistic and the smartest move for the Giants is an offensive tackle.
This whole right tackle, left tackle thing, it always messes with my head. Like, oh, why don't we just move him to right tackle? Or, you know what I mean? That's like
because it's basically playing two different positions, dude, is what it is. Because the dominant edge rushers, right, they line up more so on the left side of the defense. That's why you used to invest so much. Yeah.
Remember a couple years ago, Eric Flowers, right? He was starting at right tackle for us. And that season, he was going against the 8 or 9 of the best pass rushers on the right, on his side of the field. He probably
Marcus Lawrence plays that side.
He would have been better off starting for us at left tackle than to be on that year. You know what I mean? So that always kind of messes with my head. I understand what you guys are saying, but I don't know. And we just need help all over the goddamn place. Whoever we draft are going to be happy. Really happy.
Except for Derek Brown.
I tell you, I watched tape on that dude. Now, I'm not going to lie, man. I watched tape 2 days ago, right? I'm watching it all night. I'm watching these YouTube clips. I'm watching the dude that posts on Twitter. I'm like, damn, this dude is fucking good, man. Like, I'm like, damn, he's legit. He's legit good. I mean, listen, we need help in other areas, but if we do draft him, it's going to mess with my head like a lot. But the dude is good. The dude is really good.
All right, I'm going to just have to throw out the reminder, Mike. $16 million, third and fifth round pick, third round pick, first round pick, 2 7th-round picks, and another third-round pick. That's everything. Oh, and a second-round pick. That's everything we have in the defensive line right now.
Okay, so anyway, we spent all right, yeah, so moving on now from talking about building in the trenches. You guys see the report of so the Lions, right? Mike called them sneaky fucks last week, which is pretty much what they're going to be in this draft because they're at 3rd overall and they're interested in Simmons and Jeff Okudah or Chase Young.
And Derek Brown.
Yeah, and Derek Brown.
Yeah.
Personally, dude, this is one that I'm actually gonna buy into. The reason being is because if it goes the way everyone thinks it's gonna go, where it's gonna be Burrow and then Chase Young at 2, and we'll get to Chase Young in just a moment here too. But if it goes Burrow and then Chase Young, you have the Lions at 3rd overall, and they could either trade back like the smokescreen's kind of been saying for the last couple months, because a team like the Dolphins or the Chargers might want to move up for Tua or Justin Herbert, or they might select Tua themselves to groom and replace Matthew Stafford, who I forgot even existed, by the way. But the thing is, right? So I look at Simmons and I look at the Patriots defense, the Lions defense, which is a carbon copy of the Patriots defense. Simmons fits their system too. Patrick Graham worked with Matt Patricia. Defensive coordinator Patrick Graham was with the Giants, now work with Matt Patricia. I'm going to emphasize that second time because you have 2 similar defensive schemes that are being run. And the reality of it is that he fits their defense just as much as he fits ours. I would not be surprised to see the Lions pull the trigger on Simmons because they need an impact defender on the second level.
Dude, that scares the shit out of me, the Lions. I'm going to be I won't be able to breathe if they pick Simmons at number 3. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to take a trip to the Bronx Zoo and just start slitting Lions' throat. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
Bro.
PETA's going to have to call me. PETA's going to arrest me. They're going to arrest me for fighting lions in the lion's den. That's what's going to happen. It's going to mess. Why? Sorry, PETA, I would not kill lions. Lions are the best. But they're really going to. It's really going to mess with my head if they draft Simmons. I'm going to be furious. But unless Chase Young is there, and Chase Young just falls in our lap. I mean, you never know.
Well, I want to talk about the Chase Young thing in a second because of another rumor that I'll bring up. But I want to, Mike, if they do go Isaiah Simmons at number 3, you're not going to go off and kill Lions, all right? You're just going to get happy and embrace Jedrick Wills as our offensive tackle. That's the plan.
Yeah. After you guys calm me down a little bit, I might need to.
I'll just FaceTime, dude. I'll FaceTime Mike when, that's what I'm gonna do. I guess I'll FaceTime Mike when the Giants are on the board at 4th overall, and I'll figure out a way to record his reaction.
Man, I'm gonna be so hammered by the time the Giants pick their 4th pick. I'm gonna start drinking at noon that day because I'm gonna be so nervous. I'm gonna need something to take the edge off. I can't wait, man. You're gonna see a different Mike on FaceTime. That's time the number 4.
Speaking of which,
on the draft, we're gonna have to wait 3 hours for the Giants to get the 4th pick. I'm telling you, some stupid shit's gonna happen.
We're gonna have to make that a group FaceTime. I got to see this.
Yeah, we said this 2 weeks ago, dude. Where some computer nerds were gonna hack in and ruin the draft. And look, Shefty tweeted on Monday that there was already a freaking issue or whatever. So I think everyone's listening to this podcast. Dude. But anyway, you know what happened, dude? Speaking of beating the shit out of people, so I texted our good friend G Stelio, and he straight up was just like, "Oh, quarantine's got me going nuts. His kid's driving him crazy." And then G texts me back and is like, "Oh, I could beat up Khalil Mack." And I'm like, "No, you can't. You're like a twig compared to him."
He wants to beat up everybody, man. I see this Twitter before. He wants to beat up Mac. He wants to beat up Kevin Durant. I mean, everybody could beat Kevin Durant up. That's not a You know what I mean? So he's nuts, man. He's definitely stressed out like everybody else with this whole quarantine, man. Everybody in the world needs this draft to come quick, man.
Oh yeah.
We need the draft. We need this draft to last like 2 weeks. I wish they do like half a round. We need to go back in the day in the 90s when they had like 12 rounds. They had like fucking like 12, 20 rounds of drafting. I was sitting by the TV for like 3 weeks just watching the NFL draft. It was fucking insane. It's insane. I'm like, that's my guy I wanted in the 15th round. I can't believe they got him. Like, can you imagine that? Imagine a draft lasting that many rounds.
Yeah.
Thank God for all these undrafted free agents we get to sign, right? That's going to be a problem, too. After this draft, you know how many guys are going to be, like, reaching out to people, calling immediately after the draft ends to try to sign their guys? It's going to be chaos.
Yeah, especially with the whole quarantine thing going on, it might be really tough for these teams to sign their undrafted free agents.
Yeah, it is, dude. That's why you got to do like all your homework before. Which is what the Giants are doing with Herbert, like we discussed like 10, 15 minutes ago. You got to do all your homework on every single guy that's declared because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there could be a guy like, okay, so last year at this time, right, there was the wide receiver from Mizzou, Emmanuel Hall, and if you remember Mike Wallace, who played for like the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Steelers, everyone was like, oh, this guy Emmanuel Hall, right, is the next Mike Wallace. He's a deep threat. I watched his tape. This dude can't run a freaking route. Most of his touchdowns were on just busted coverages, playing against like the Georgia defense or whatever. And then on top of that, I saw him at Bears camp. He was never healthy, dude. It wasn't that he was never healthy. It's just he was the laziest fuck on the planet, dude, is what it was with, what's his name? I can't even remember his name now. That is how bad he was, and I just mentioned him a second ago. But those undrafted free agents, you could unearth some gems here and there. Now, so going back to the Lions, right? Okuda's a legit possibility for them, but I think that Okuda could slip if there is a scenario where there's a run on quarterbacks. Okuda's going to go top 10, dude. Probably to the Jags, and they're going to draft him and trade him like 4 years later.
I can see that. I can see him slipping for sure.
Yeah. And I don't want Okuda. I don't want to be part of the Giants. I don't want to interact with like the Giants fan base, the part of the fan base that's like, oh, go Okuda at 3, because you invested in Julian Love, DeAndre Baker, and then most of all James Bradbury. And I get the Bradbury, it's like a 3-year deal. Well, he signed a 3-year deal. It's really a 2-year deal, but still, like, I do not want to see this team investing in a corner unless there's like best player available on day 3 that they decide to bring in as just a depth piece, because you can never have too much competition.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not really like as awesome as Jeffrey Okuda is. I think he's awesome and he's going to be a great player for a different team. I don't think he should be that player on our team just because of how much we've invested there. Same thing with Derrick Brown. It's the same argument. We've already invested so much in a certain position. At some point you have to invest elsewhere, and at some point you have to invest in the offensive line.
I think that's why the Giants want to trade back so bad. They want. It is. It's offensive linemen, man. That's how it seems. That's how, like, all these leaks in the media, that's how it seems right now. I mean, but I don't know if I really believe it or not.
Well, it's really hard to decipher what's true and what's not right now. There's a lot being thrown out there, a lot of rumors, and I'm going to bring one up real quick because I had a dream for a very long time that I finally let die recently. I'm sure many of our listeners have noticed I have not been on that Chase Young train for quite some time now. I finally gave up on it. I think it's starting to get a little life pumped back into it, man. There's a report this morning. The Redskins are looking to trade down. They've had parameters laid out with a couple of teams, and now they just have to make the decision on whether or not they want to do it. So, then we get into what's going to happen at number 3. Is are the Lions going to take Chase Young in that situation? But we've got a little bit of hope again for Chase Young. That's all I'm going to say. It's becoming a slight possibility again, and that makes me very happy because him above all else, if he's there, it doesn't matter, no offensive tackle, he's better than Isaiah Simmons, it's Chase Young, and then we're all going to be happy and we're all going to be really excited for our future. Yeah,
dude. Yeah. I'll say this about the Redskins, like, second overall pick, so I get that they're fielding calls. This isn't anything new since, like, the report came out that they were meeting with Tua and whatnot. So they can go 3 ways here, right? Mm-hmm. They could stand pat and take Young or a quarterback or even Simmons, honestly, because Ron Rivera, what's his defense built on? It's built on an impact linebacker, dude. That's what he had in Chicago. That's what he had in Carolina. I mean, you're talking about a guy that worked with Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs and them, then went to Carolina and worked with like Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Shaq Thompson was the third guy on there. And now, like, I look at that Washington defense. They've got a good front four, dude, with, like, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Kerrigan's there, obviously. They don't have, like, a stud middle linebacker, though, so Simmons is an option for them at 3. I don't see them investing in, like, the defense at all, dude.
They need help on offense.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, they need help on offense because like they don't have anyone besides McLaurin, and I don't want to get into Haskins because everyone knows my thoughts on him. You know, straight up, dude, the Redskins, right? This is because they're in the NFC, so you got to watch out for them. They could totally they could really help, dude, or just like completely f up the Giants' draft plans. But I do agree, dude. I think the Lions and Redskins right now are the sneakiest fucks the Giants have to watch out for.
I really believe. I think the Redskins do trade back, man. I think you're right. I think they trade back and go on the offensive side of the ball and get more capital later on in the first round.
I think it's the best move for them.
It is the best move for them, but they're stupid. They're just going to draft Chase Young unless they have a good defense. Yeah, you're going to hold teams to 14, 17 points, but you're going to lose by fucking 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, here's the thing, right? You look at like the last 2 teams that I can think of that had like a good defense, and then the quarterbacks, quote unquote, led them to the playoffs would be Trubisky and Josh Allen. And like both of those defenses were like top 5 defenses. This Redskins unit, they're not as talented as those 2 other units were because those units had spent like 3 or 4 years being built, man. Like 2, 3, 4 years being built. This one though, it's the dude's coming in a fresh install. The talent's there. They just have to figure out how to put it together. I don't think he's gonna do that. Or I think Rivera will do that, but it's going to take time. And I certainly do not think, I will say this, dude, when I talk to people like in the college ranks in the community, I always got like a better vibe getting info about like Trubisky and Josh Allen than I ever did like regarding Dwayne Haskins.
That's saying something, man. I mean, shit, man. Who knows, man?
I'm excited to see what line of merch Dwayne Haskins is going to roll out via Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook Live over the draft weekend.
That's trash, dude.
He's probably going to have a T-shirt that says, I can read. Dude,
the moment,
it's going to be backwards, too.
when they were... So there was like one Redskins game on. So there was one Redskins game on, the one where he like took the selfie because he got his first win or whatever. And I'm like, I was like, you're garbage because there's a, you should be like on the sidelines with the coach figuring out what to do, kneeling, like with the, kneel down, end the game. You got your first win. That's great. But like, why are you taking selfies with some random dude in the stands?
He didn't even have a helmet. He gave his helmet to one of the fans. He had the helmet from a fan to go back in the game. I'm like, what an idiot.
It's unprofessional, man. It's unprofessional.
Yeah. So, sometimes here's what happens with the NFL draft, guys, is sometimes you got to have like a fallback plan. And obviously, like we discussed Simmons. I know Jordan Reed was on with us back in like January or February. And he kind of talked to us about why the NFL scouts and teams are super high on LSU linebacker Patrick Queen. And then there's Kenneth Murray, right? This guy, if Alabama linebacker Dylan Moses was in this class, Murray would probably be my linebacker 4, but if he's there at 36 and we go offensive tackle or trade back, I would honestly not mind Murray because he reminds me of like a lesser physical and athletic Roquan Smith.
I like that pick too, man. I wouldn't mind that either. If we do go offensive tackle, you're right. 100%.
No, I'm saying Kenneth Murray, the linebacker at 36.
Yeah, I'm saying if we go offensive tackle, kind of goes to 100%, no doubt.
A thing that I've been looking at in like some mock draft simulations I've ran is if the Giants, I know that like scenarios have been thrown out there where say the Jaguars want to get up and they want to get either Isaiah Simmons or Jeffrey Okudah or somebody and they give 9 and 20 to the Giants. I would love if they landed their offensive tackle at 9 and Patrick Queen at 20. That's something that I've been looking at a lot in the simulations because that guy is really athletic. He's kind of a freak of nature too, and he's great in coverage as well. So he's not exactly Isaiah Simmons, but he's the next best thing. So it could be kind of like, filling both needs.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, dude. The thing is, so the draft boards can fall like truly. Infinity is the word used to describe the combinations of like draft picks that you could have and who trades up and down. We need some like Albert Einstein nerd to figure that stat out for us. But the point is that
Get a nerd out.
yeah, we'll figure it out, dude. Probably one of the Harvard nerds can hit us up. So like Murray would be interesting, and Anthony, I know you mentioned trading, which brings us to our next topic. The Falcons rap sheet reporting that they're expected to be one of the most active teams in this draft. So I think they're picking at like 16th overall. I know Anthony wants to get Julio Jones somehow.
Listen, that tweet, man, somebody took me serious, and they're like, where are you hearing this from? I'm like, I don't know, the back of my head. I just throwing something out there. Yeah, it's a dream. I would love it if we got Julio Jones in 16 for 4, but obviously that'll never happen.
You gotta love throwing nonsense out there on Twitter, man. I love the people.
It's fun.
it's fucking great, man.
Yeah,
dude,
where'd you hear it from? You made it up.
So, okay, look, I'm looking at 16th overall right now, at like the Falcons, just compensation in general. So they have 16th overall. They have 47, 78, 119, 134, 228. No picks in the 5th or 6th round, which means really the meat of their draft is going to be rounds 1 to 4. I look at first overall pick is what they're going to be wooing and dealing. Look, I think right now they want to trade back to get some 5th or 6th rounders, but you don't get 5th or 6th rounders with your first round pick. You get them with your 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounders, okay? I would say, let's just say this team decides to trade up. I would be pretty content with getting 16th overall or, moving from like 36, let's say. The Giants moving from 36 down to 47, and then getting like the Falcons' 3rd rounder in the process, because that would give you 78 and 99 in the 3rd round. I think that would be worth it.
Going down to 16 is way too far from my liking, man. I don't think you go that far deep when you have the number 4 pick. I don't think you give that up.
I mean, I would, yeah, dude, it's 12 spots. You would have to definitely factor in, because they don't have enough draft compensation. The way the Falcons are going to pull this trade stuff is whoever they trade up with, they are going to have to include some 2021 like 2nd and 3rd rounders in there, because there is no frigging way they are going from like 16, or they're giving up the 16th overall pick and moving all the way up, and then giving up like some of their 2nd, 3rd, and their 2 4ths that they have in this draft. I think that you could honestly, this is the perfect time to ask for a 2021 first rounder, because like this is another team, dude. They keep trying to sit there and win now mode, but like they're not going anywhere. I mean, the roster's aging.
That's what I was gonna say. Who do they want? And now that's what I'm gonna say. Let me throw this out there. Let's go. Number 1, Joe Burrow. Right. Number 2, the Redskins trade out of it, and let's say it goes to Tagovailoa. And then let's go number 3. Let's say the Lions trade down with the Lions there, and they get Jeffrey Okudah. And then number 4 is Chase Young. Now that sounds pretty nice to me, man.
That's what you like.
I would think their target is Jeffrey Okudah, right? I mean, they need a cornerback. It's either, but I've also seen they're like in love with Kinlaw. So I don't know if they want to get Derek Brown at 3, or if it's Jeffrey Okudah, or if it's Kinlaw at 3. I don't know what they want, but apparently they're pretty dead set on trying to get inside that top 5.
You don't hear any secrets coming out of Atlanta, man. They're really tight-lipped. You don't hear any they want. So it's pretty strange, man.
Yeah, okay. That's because like the head coach here, Dan Quinn's like theoretically he should have been fired this year, but like he's still there. They started like 1-6 or whatever, and then they finished freaking 7-9 with the late season surge, whatever it was in 2019. But that's just, dude, it's a garbage football team, right? I think honestly, I will throw this out there. It would not surprise me to see them trade up for a quarterback, because like Matt Ryan's aging, and I get his contract's the biggest issue. But sometimes you just do that, is you draft a quarterback, and then you just like sit there and groom him for like 2 or 3 seasons before he's ready to take over. And I wouldn't be surprised if they fall in love with Justin Herbert and do that.
Well, why wouldn't, if they're at 16, right, and they just stay there, what if Love just happens to fall for them at 16? Wouldn't they want to draft him? If they're
Dude, I have a feeling. Listen, the deal with Love is this, right? And this is just my feeling about him. Is it's like, and no pun intended. You either love this prospect or you hate him. He could go as high as the top 5, dude, or he could go as low as somewhere in the second round. And I personally think I think the Dolphins are taking him at 5th overall, dude. I would not be surprised.
That's going to be interesting if they do.
You know, something that wouldn't shock me, and Mike might feel like Nostradamus if it happens. I think that Tua Tagovailoa has a good chance of sliding in this draft. I think there are probably teams that are aware of the whole hip being a long-term issue, not a short-term, but a long-term issue. There's definitely teams that have put that into consideration. He's probably off of a few draft boards because of that. And, there's growing sense around, in the rumor mill that teams have Justin Herbert ranked ahead of him. And then that gets me thinking, what if Tua falls down towards those, middle teens area, and then the Patriots trade up and get him? And then all of a sudden, they inject some steroids in him or something. His hip is just completely healed. He's perfect. And then we got to go through all this stuff again for the next 20 years.
Dude, I'm going to be... I thought of that today, and I'm like, shit. I would not be surprised if that would happen, dude.
Yeah.
Especially because they just traded away Gronk, dude, and would they get, another pick that they're probably going to, fleece the rest of the NFL with? And they're picking in the early 20s, so they can make that jump up.
Yep, for sure. They definitely could get up into the mid-teens. It's a possibility.
I think that's where Love goes, somewhere in the teens. And you're right, man. New England, man, that's a sneaky team, man. Belichick, yeah, I don't know, man. Can't wait. I can't wait to Thursday night, man.
I know, man. So excited.
So pumped for this draft.
Infinite possibilities.
Yeah, too many infinite possibilities. You know what's weird though? Half this pod, dude, was just us ranting about how much the offensive line drives us fucking crazy. That is, but whatever. That's the purpose of this, right? Because we do not take it on. You don't take it easy on anyone here. So I mean, yeah, dude. Going back to Atlanta, I don't know what to make of this team, dude. They suck. They do not have the draft capital that I would want. I would consider it if it was a second or third rounder that they're trying to trade from, but not from 16 to 4. That's so I'm gonna quote Dave Gettleman here and be like, oh, if you move back 4 spots, then that's 4 really good players you potentially miss out on. It's the same thing, dude. If you move back 12 spots, there's 12 Pro Bowlers or all pros that you could potentially miss out on, but that would be a historic draft class, So last topic here, guys, as we wrap this thing up, because I want to go eat pizza. What's the overall goal, guy? What do you guys think, overall goal of this draft besides just, building for the future?
Overall goal?
I think so. I'll start to get the conversation going, because we rarely discuss critical stuff on here because we're always ranting. I think the deal is with this draft class. So the last couple of years, I felt it was very offensive heavy because you hired Pat Shurmur, offensive minded guy. This year, though, I think it's going to be to build a well-rounded team. And I think Joe Judge is here through at least the end of 2021. We will be able to kind of get an idea of what he is doing and what kind of team he wants to build based on the schools he drafts from. You already know those guys at Alabama are going to get top consideration, which is the biggest reason why Anthony's on the Jedrick Wills hype train. You know those Alabama guys are going to get the consideration. He's going to go talk to all his old colleagues and be like, hey, what do you think is the case? I think this draft's all about, for me, it's getting rid of the suckers from the Shurmur era, moving on from that junk draft philosophy, and then going into a new era of disciplined football, guys.
I hear that. I think for me, it's the progression of our quarterback. That's the goal. And I think, you can make the argument that he can't win without a solid defense behind him, but he really can't throw the ball if he doesn't have a good offensive tackle blocking for him. And some weapons. I know this class is loaded with receivers. There's a lot of guys that are projected to go in the second and third round that might be first-round prospects in other draft classes. They're falling through the cracks here because of how loaded this draft class is. I think at some point in this draft, whether it's 4th, 5th round, if people aren't too keen on taking a receiver in the earlier rounds, they got to find one. They got to get a real playmaker for him, prioritize the offensive line. It's about Daniel Jones now. One of the things with Eli Manning is we all love him. He had an amazing career, but it's at least to some extent going to be a tale of what could have been. Because if what it could have been if Jerry Reese was better at drafting, he would have had a better offensive line. He would have had better weapons. He had pretty good weapons, but the offensive line mainly. And Eli could have been 3-Eli. He could have gotten that third ring at some point when he was in his prime, but he was on his ass 9 times out of 10. I don't want to see that happen with Daniel Jones. I want to see him have time in the pocket to survey the field. He's really smart. He can read a defense. And I want to see him have a nice, long, fruitful career with a great offensive line in front of him. And I think that's really going to be the key. Starting now, let's prioritize that. Let's get everything in place to develop Daniel Jones for the next decade.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't mind offensive tackle there, but, I think Daniel Jones, he has a lot more mobility than Eli. You could have a lot more plays if you have, like, the same offensive line going into next year. You could have him roll out a lot more. A lot of different things you could do with him because Eli was not the most mobile guy. Eli had to stay in the pocket. Daniel Jones could go outside the pocket. But my overall goal for this Giant as a team, like, we got a young team. I want to see them develop to their strengths. Like Joe Judge says, he wants to, the versatility. He wants to utilize everybody's strength. I want guys, particularly on the defense, not looking around at each other, looking where you should be, oh, I thought you were going to be there. I don't want none of that confusion anymore. I want these guys to just go out there and just, play football, man, and then, build a team that way. We got a young team, man, so they could build something pretty nice here, man.
Yeah, it's because you want Isaiah Simmons to be in all those spots that they're looking around in. Like, whoa, weren't you supposed to be there? Oh, no, Isaiah Simmons is over there. He just got an interception. Wow, nice.
Like, I don't have to do anything. Isaiah Simmons is right there. Like, he's good. I'm the best player in the world. Get him, man. Get him. I just want to say, like, I apologize to all the people that love Lions out there. I didn't mean it. It was just a joke. I don't want to get heat on Twitter, all right? I'm not going to go around killing Lions, all right?
Dude, listen, the draft's frustrating just because you're sitting there and you're on the edge of your seat.
Oh, yeah.
And your heart's pounding, especially when, like, your team is about to pick and you've heard all this news about, like, well, this player and this player and this player and these guys, right? These teams have met with this guy, and this team could trade up potentially. All the BS that goes down, dude. And the hardest part, though, is when you have a top 5 pick, because you should be landing a surefire product, but all it takes is one domino to fall for your entire plan to be ruined.
Let's hope not. Let's really hope not. For my sake and, like, all my stuff, because I'll just start breaking shit. If Isaiah Simmons goes at 3, I'll just lose my shit.
Try and set up a camera or something. We definitely want to see that. This will make some good content on our Instagram.
All right, I'll do that.
I'll definitely get the group FaceTime going, dude. All right. But for now, guys, we're at the we're almost at the 1 hour mark, right? But so yeah, follow all the social media accounts, guys. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Giants Brawl on Instagram. We're at Giants.Brawl. You should just search our podcast up. Be able to find us. And then, yeah, we're on Facebook at Giants Brawl as well. Go ahead and check out my work at Usaid Kosho on Twitter. Anthony's on Twitter as well, Anthony _ Rivardo. And then Mike's on Twitter at Mike Trainer MFT. I have no idea where Barkley is. We didn't mention him this episode because he was telling everyone last week on Saturday to watch or listen to the Giants Brawl podcast.
Right. He talks. Barkley talks now. He's resting right now. He bit the shit out of my toe before, so I threw him in the cage.
Oh my God.
He's getting all riled up for the draft. He can't wait either. I got to get him a little, like, Giants jersey and shit with a Simmons on the back, man. I can't wait. Or Chase
Yeah, or whoever. Like I said, dude, because this is the last time we're gonna talk before the draft. And we got a great guest on for you guys next week. That's gonna be fun. And then I'll say this though, dude. Whoever they draft at 4, like, I will come on this pod next week and I will give, like, an honest review.
I won't.
I will. There's gonna be players that I'll love if they take them wherever they take them, and there's going to be players that I'm not going to love. So we'll discuss it. We'll break it down, and let's hope that Gettleman gets it all right. Let's hope everybody's in agreement that he kills it. That's what we're hoping for. And man, I just can't wait.
How many rounds do you have on Thursday? Is it just round 1?
Yeah, just round 1 on Thursday. I think it's 2 and 3 on Friday, and then isn't it the rest on Saturday? Is that how they do it? I don't remember.
That's how they're gonna do it, dude. But like, Anthony, you mentioned and I'm gonna put this part in the recording, by the way, so everyone can listen to the after podcast shenanigans. But the point is, dude, is like, I'm so ready, for like this entire thing. You can't have a perfect draft, but whatever they come out with, like, unless it's not like really terrible, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah, I'll be happy, man. Whoever they draft, like, we'll all be happy about it eventually.
Yeah. All right, guys. Peace out. We'll see you guys next week.